Police say a 25-year-old was crossing the street when she was hit and killed by a speeding driver heading southbound on 76th Street. Family has identified the victim to TMJ4 News as Kiara Travis. They say she would have been 26 years old on Monday.
They were the simplest of things, a set of apartment keys. Kiara Travis had asked her father for them recently, not for herself, but so she could check on him, Bernard Travis, because his health wasn't strong. It was a small act of devotion, a daughter looking out for the man who raised her. Bernard didn't give them to her that day. He remembered telling his daughter, "If we don't get a chance to do it today, then we'll do it tomorrow." No, seriously. That simple tomorrow would become the emotional debt he could never, ever repay. A road should be a pathway, a connection. But sometimes, a road is a countdown. In this city, the street you drive every day isn't just asphalt, it's a calculated kill zone. Keiairra was killed on a street the authorities already knew was a disaster, a place where dozens of incidents happen every single year. Have you ever felt that flicker of fear crossing a busy intersection in your own community? What happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice? We are here because a life full of promise was extinguished by a vehicle traveling too fast, driven by someone who cared too little. The tragedy is clear, but the shocking truth is how preventable it all was, and the incredible speed at which investigators closed in. Right now, hit the comment section and tell us, does your town have a death trap intersection? Let us know. Your interaction helps put a spotlight on these forgotten victims. Kiara Travis was just 25 days from her 26th birthday. She was pure connection to her twin sister, Keiairra, and a powerful sense of duty to her family. She was a singer, a songwriter. Her dream wasn't just to entertain, but to touch the world through music. Her presence genuinely lit up every room she entered.
For all that time that I was loving you, you were busy loving yourself. I would stop breathing if you told me to. Now you're busy loving someone else.
That entire weekend was supposed to be a transition, a celebration of her next chapter. They chose a bar called Prime Social, ready for a night of joy and turning the calendar page. But that transition, that joy, was about to be intercepted. The very building they were celebrating next to sat adjacent to a grinding focal point of extreme danger, North 76th Street and Good Hope Road. They were ready to celebrate life and dreams, but they had unknowingly walked onto a corridor of concern. The driver was already coming, and the terrifying question remains. What happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice? Drop a comment below. Let's discuss and share experiences together. Stay with me till the end of this video, because I'm going to share 2 helpful safety tips at the end of the video. Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. Keiairra and her sisters were celebrating, just enjoying the transition into her birthday weekend. But the bar, Prime Social, sat next to a specific, critical point in Milwaukee County. This location, North 76th Street and Good Hope Road, wasn't just a tough crossing. It was designated a corridor of concern. That's the official language for a failure point. A dangerous environment where design and reckless behavior routinely collide. The numbers confirm it. Since the start of 2025, the Milwaukee Police Department documented 33 separate traffic incidents at this single intersection. 33 times the warnings flashed, the injuries happened, the glass broke. Yet nothing changed. This was not a matter of if tragedy would strike again, but when. It had happened before, a fatal hit and run just a year earlier, followed by violent crime. The intersection was a ticking clock. It was shortly before 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, October 11th, 2025. Keiairra was crossing the street. The celebratory atmosphere of the bar was left behind, replaced by the vulnerability of the pavement. She had just a few steps to go. Then, a speeding vehicle arrived. It struck her with brutal force. The impact was instant, final. Kiara Travis was pronounced dead at the scene. A collision is one thing, but what came next transformed a horrific crash into a crime of profound moral abandonment. The driver did not stop. The person behind the wheel chose to flee the scene, leaving Keiairra's body in the street. Her twin sister, Keiairra, would later speak for a furious family.
I'm broken, like I'm literally missing my other half. That's literally how I'm feeling. What kind of human being, they'll just stop to check, like that's somebody's life, and to be taken just so soon and just so quickly, it's sad.
What kind of human being doesn't just stop to check? Bernard Travis, the father who promised tomorrow, expressed his fury over the sheer dehumanization inflicted by the driver. His daughter, he lamented, was left to die in the middle of the street like a hog. The simple failure to stop became the cruelest act. Keiairra's family was still nearby. They hadn't left the area. Then, they noticed the flashing lights, red and blue, strobing the neighborhood. Ambulances, police. Keiairra recounted the moment. She walked out to the front, saw the emergency responders, and instantly, her heart began racing. They were still bathed in the celebratory atmosphere, just yards away. They saw the blue lights, but what they didn't know was that they were staring directly at the epicenter of their own agonizing trauma. The violence had arrived at their doorstep. The terrifying question remains: what happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice? The horror wasn't delivered by a phone call or an official knock. It arrived in the form of flashing emergency lights just outside the celebration. The family's confusion turned to a terrifying realization when they approached the scene. That is the nature of violence. It forces the victim's loved ones to confront the brutality without a protective buffer. Kiara Travis, Keiairra's twin, described a physical and emotional rupture, stating simply, "I'm broken. I'm literally missing my other half. That's literally how I'm feeling." The family quickly channeled their devastation into action. Shedrian Blanks, Keiairra's mother, issued a powerful public plea. "We want the person who did this to our daughter to come, and we want justice for our daughter." The very next day, Sunday, October 12th, on the eve of what would have been the twins' 26th birthday, nearly 50 friends and family members gathered near the collision site. It was a defiant memorial. Hundreds of pink balloons were released into the night sky, a collective refusal to let Keiairra's memory be erased by the street's violence. It was a solemn birthday celebration where the community promised not to forget the voice that had been silenced. Before we reveal the chilling next step the driver took, please take a second to hit the like button. If you believe accountability is the first step toward true justice, it helps us track this case. The Milwaukee Police Department launched an aggressive hunt for the driver who fled. In urban environments, time is everything, and in this case, the pursuit paid off almost immediately. Within 48 to 72 hours of the crime, the investigation delivered a massive breakthrough. Detectives recovered the vehicle involved in the hit and run, and a 34-year-old man was arrested in connection with Keiairra's homicide. This rapid apprehension suggests the police had critical, tangible evidence to work with. The driver thought they got away, but they made a crucial mistake. Police found the key to the driver's identity thanks to one small detail left behind at the scene. Did you spot it earlier when we described the scene? Rewind to Chapter 2 if you missed the critical clue. The charges were immediately referred to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. For the family, the arrest provided a crucial, initial step toward justice. The individual was caught, the initial accountability secured. But the arrest only solved the who. The deeper, more terrifying question remained. Why did a street that the city knew was lethal remain unfixed? The terrifying question lingers. What happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice?
Many men wish death upon me. Blood in my eye, bitch, and I can't see. I'm tryna be who I'm destined to be. These bum ass niggas tryna take my life away. Many niggas and bitches ain't fucking with me. Put a hole in the nigga head for fucking with dream. I'm just tryna get right back to my peace. Cause watch what the fuck you say, you ain't mentioning me, bitch.
Kiara Travis's death cannot be viewed as an isolated tragedy. It is a devastating casualty of Milwaukee's crisis of traffic safety. The facts are harsh. The city had already recorded 48 traffic fatalities for the year by October 9th, just 2 days before Keiairra was killed. When dozens of lives are lost every year, individual tragedies risk becoming just another data point in a grim spreadsheet. Keiairra's story shows the unbearable human cost of allowing streets to remain dangerous. In an attempt to combat this growing crisis, Milwaukee County leadership adopted the Vision Zero goal on February 24, 2025. This commitment aims to eliminate all traffic fatalities and serious injuries in the county by 2037. It's a powerful commitment on paper. The plan specifically identifies high-risk areas, like the one that claimed Keiairra's life, calling them corridors of concern. The strategy outlined hundreds of potential safety projects, including signal improvements and slowing traffic lanes. But Keiairra died in October 2025, a full 8 months after this policy was formally adopted. This is the critical gap. The city had identified the threat. They knew North 76th Street and Good Hope Road had already logged 33 non-fatal incidents in that year. They had made the commitment to act. But when Kiara Travis crossed the street, the preventative safety measures promised in the Vision Zero plan were nowhere to be found. Her death was not an unpredictable accident. It was the direct result of a failure to prioritize known threats and deploy life-saving infrastructure in a timely manner. Systemic delays allowed hazardous conditions to remain, enabling a reckless driver to end a young woman's life. This reality forces us to ask the most uncomfortable version of our central question. What happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice? The court case against the 34-year-old driver is essential, but it will only deliver half of the required justice. The other half demands a dramatic change in our communities, forcing us to recognize that safety is not a guarantee, but a fight. And that fight begins with taking control of our own actions. The failure of the city to implement safety measures, as detailed in the Vision Zero plan, placed Kiara Travis in danger. But while we demand accountability from institutions, we must also focus on the choices we make every day on the road. We need a shift in language to understand this better. When a driver chooses to speed or chooses to drive distracted, the outcome isn't an act of fate. Safety advice 1. Crash versus accident. An accident is an outcome no one could have prevented, like a sudden equipment failure. What happened to Keiairra was a crash, the direct result of a calculated, selfish choice made by the person behind the wheel. We must stop calling these events accident. What happens when the systemic failures of a city collide with one selfish, reckless choice? The answer is the loss of a life that mattered, the pain of a family that is now only half whole, and the urgent necessity for all of us to demand more. Kiara Travis's story is not over. The legal proceedings against the driver are just beginning. Don't let her story become just another statistic. Subscribe to True Crime Footprint to track the court case and help us keep this spotlight on systemic safety. Which is more important, legal justice for the driver or systemic change for the street? Our hearts ache for Keiairra's family. Words feel inadequate, but please know you are held in deepest sympathy and prayers. May you find strength and comfort in the memories of Keiairra. Thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.